Should you pick www or non-www URL version of your website? And does it actually have a material impact on SEO? Yes, it has material impact on SEO. Now, does choosing one or over the other affect SEO? No. Uh, th- there's no way that it does. Now, what does matter for SEO when you do select a non-www or a www version is that all your internal links need to be the same. What do I mean by that? You cannot have your internal links be www dot and non www. What's going to happen is similar to like what's happening in this Google Search Console I'm looking at right now on one of my test sites is that Google is crawling both. So that means half of my crawl budget is being spent on the non www version, and the other half is being spent on the www version, which is wasting my budget because Google thinks that there's two versions of my site, which isn't helping my SEO at all. Because what's happening is having both of those URLs is causing Google to spend time on both. And what ends up happening is that Google has two versions. Google has two versions of your website, right? So you have the that's non, and then you have the WW. And so each time Google comes by and crawls these, what you end up happening is that Google thinks that there's two versions of the exact same site. Now, will you instantly I think like that doesn't make sense. Like why would Google think that there's two versions of the website? It's the same website. It's just one has not dub 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 and one does. Well, the way I like to think of how Google works to make it really simplistic and easy to understand is that it's very similar to creating a file on your desktop or whenever you have anything on your desktop. So like let's take an example of a PDF document or an image on your desktop. You can right click copy and paste that exact same document, but can't have two. What's going to end up happening is that they're both going to be named different, just slightly different, even though it's the same exact document. And so that's kind of how you need to think about Google when it sees a URL, is that it will remember that URL kind of similar to how it's on your desktop, even though it's the same content, same everything as the other version, with just a slightly URL difference. Now, what you also need to consider is that not only do your internal links have to be all the same, but you also are going to need all of your backlinks, your external links be the same as well. Anytime you have a link pointing to your website, you need to make sure if it's your link that they are using the same version that you want to be used. Something else to consider is that let's say you don't have control over what link, like let's say you're doing a directory link and you're putting your website on there. You have control of what URL you place on. Now let's say that someone puts your website somewhere that you don't have control over. What you need to do is make sure that at your htaccess level on your server, this is a little technical, at your htaccess you need to have it so that whenever someone visits your website, they only visit the version that you want them to. This will also help with Google because Google then will then stop going to the version you don't want it to go to. So at your htaccess level, you need to set a server config file that it will only go to the none, or it will only go to the none, or it will go to the done. And then once you pick, you have to pick and stick that forever. If you change it later, you're just gonna have a whole bunch of what Google's gonna think is duplicate content and cause SEO issues later down the road.